Hi, this is Math Explained for You. And today, I'm going to help you with your math. Today, we're going to be discussing the area of a square. When we start talking about area, we're not just talking about how long something is, how tall something is, or possibly how deep something is. We're talking about how much surface it has. So we're going to talk about area, and we're going to work with linear measurements to get that answer. Now, when we start doing area, we use formulas. I love formulas. Formulas are little machines that I dump data into, and they give me answers that I want to know. I really like that. I like speedy answers too. And this is the speediest formula. The square formula is a very small formula, but very powerful formula because it does give us that answer that we want to know. So when we talk about a square by definition is a four-sided object that has parallel sides. That means the lines that are opposite each other, they never get farther apart and they never get closer together. They're always just even. And all four side lengths are exactly the same. So when we start talking about labeling a square for what we want to write our formula is, we really only need to label one side because all four sides are identical. That is the definition of a square. So in this case, the area of a square, we always use A for area. Area equals side squared. This is an exponent. When we have a small number up to the right to the side there, that's called the index of an exponent. And this variable represented by the letter S, variables are oftentimes numbers we're not quite sure about yet, or it also means in a formula, put any number here. And so we can measure any square, find one of the lengths of the sides, then we can plug it into our machine for the letter S, then square it, which is what that index tells us, to square it. The number 2 is often interpreted as squaring something, and I'll explain that in a moment. And it'll give us the answer for the area. So when we have an index, the index of 2 just tells us how many times to multiply s times itself. So that equals s squared is equal to s times s. It's also the same as writing s with a dot in between, times s. As we go farther along in math, we start using letters, and letters are variables, right? And we have a confusion take place between the letter X and the times sign. So we start to change over to using the dot. They mean the same thing. So in this case, side squared just means side times side. Both of these are the same. And if I had, say, the number 2 and it was squared, that would equal to 2 times 2, which would equal 4. And 2 times 2 equals 4. Those are both the same thing, and they come up with the same answer because they are doing the same operation. These are called operators: plus, minus, times, divide. These are these symbols that we have. Those are called operators. Individual numbers like this, the numbers are, this in particular is an exponent because it has an index next to it telling us how many times to multiply it. But a number like the number 4, for instance, in this case, is called a constant because it's always 4. It's constantly 4. So back to our formula. Let's work this one out. So in this case, we're going to say that our side is equal to 2 inches. So we're going to say, okay, it's 2 inches from here, and also it's 2 inches across from here. Okay, that makes sense. So let's just divide it up into chunks. We've got 2 sections, 2 inches, 1 inch, 2 inches, and we've got 1 inch, 2 inches there. Any way we measure it, because the square is equilateral on each side. All right, it is 2 inches all the way around in each direction. And in this case, our value for S is 2. So I'm going to put my values in, my data, and then now I'm going to let my machine give me my answer. We can kind of see it, but let's check and make sure our formula matches. So we're going to go A for area. equals site squared. Area equals 2 squared. Area equals, well, let's just spell it out. 2 times 2. Okay, area equals 4. And do I see 4 squares? Yes, I do. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, we know it was inches because we used this little quotation mark next to our measurement of 2. 2 little marks like a quotation next to a number indicates inches. But we could have wrote inches. We could have spelled it out, and that would have been all right. But we're not just talking about how long something is anymore or how tall something is. We're talking about how many of these squares fit. So when we label our answer, it's very important that we label it square, which we can use the abbreviation SQ, or we could spell it out, square. Your teacher will not mark you wrong in most cases for that. And then we really got to have that unit of measure. Otherwise, well, we'll probably get marked wrong. So let's put the mark for inches right there. We could also spell out inches if we chose to. Both of those are true. And so we probably wouldn't get marked down for that either. But typically we can write SQ and then the quotation mark for inches. And we can now check and see if we match 1, 2, 3, 4 squares. Each one of these was 1 inch by 1 inch. It's a square inch. It has a side length of 1 and all the way around it's a square. So this again, 1, 2, 3, 4 inches. It verifies that this is true. Our formula holds true. And it was pretty simple. We just plugged it in, put our numbers in for where our variable was. We followed the instructions for how to square something, multiplied it out, and got 4. Well, I hope this was helpful. I'm proud of you for doing math. Math does change the quality of a person's life, and doing math is a very beneficial thing. So good job. Keep up the good work. I'm proud of you.